Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Signature Life Podcast. As you know, we want to bring you some amazing guests who are living their signature lives. And today is no different because all the people I know are amazing. So just so you know, we have another amazing guest. My guest today is a certified life and dating coach who helps single women over 40 get ready for love by first getting clear on who they are and what they really want. After finding love later in life herself, she now teaches women who haven't dated in years how to rebuild confidence, reconnect with their feminine energy, and date with purpose instead of pressure. Through her community, the Love Basics Lounge, and her signature programs, she helps women prepare for dating in a healthy, grounded way so they can attract the kind of love that they feel is aligned. That's her professional life. This guest is also one of my client friends, and I love the conversations that we have together. And so I want to introduce to you Charity Wambui Cavanaugh. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Welcome, Charity.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. Well, this is just a continuation of what we always chat about when you come for your hair appointments.
Right.
But we wanted to give the audience an opportunity to be a fly on the wall, to hear what we talk about.
Okay.
And as you know, the format of the show, we start off with 3 gratitudes. What are you grateful for today?
So today, I'm really grateful to God. As you know, it's been a year since my dad passed.
Yeah.
And, just looking back where I was last year, and where I am today, God has really been close.
Yeah.
He's given me grace and strength, and I've been able to just really function. And I'm so grateful to God for that. I actually remember the emotions going through that, being in your chair, because I did my hair just before going back home.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a full circle moment.
circle.
So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
What else am I grateful for? I'm so grateful that you invited me here.
Yay!
This is my first video podcast. I mean, I do a lot of lives and such.
That's
but
right.
First video podcast.
Okay.
So really excited. Thank you for that. And what else? I'm grateful that the weather is changing. It's feeling good. The weather is great, for the new season, cleaning to the holidays. I'm excited about that. Yeah.
I love that. Those gratitudes filled my heart right there. I'm grateful also that you agreed to be on the podcast because I feel sometimes when we're talking, you give me a perspective of gentleness that I didn't know I needed in life, right? And I've seen it really help me in my relationship. So I'm grateful for you for that. Today, I'm also grateful for having spent time with another friend that we haven't spent that kind of time together with. And I am grateful how God just orchestrates situations in ways that you didn't know you needed them. And I am also very grateful to our videographer for his flexibility and being aligned with people who have a vision for where things can go for themselves and for you. It's really great.
That's awesome.
So, that feels good. That feels good.
That's so good.
So, let's start with you telling us a little bit about how you grew up and what things led up to you being who you are today, and where in that journey did we meet? There's a journey that you were on, and things were going a certain way, forming you into the person that you are today, and somewhere in there is where we met.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're asking me to summarize my entire life and how we met.
Summarize with whatever detail you want to give that highlights who the areas that show who you are.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So as you know, I was born and raised in Kenya. In Nairobi. I grew up there. Went to school there. all at levels of education, college, and I worked there for a while as well. So I think in my journey, in our school system, you kind of just have to do what's available. And that landed me as an accountant. And I got an accountant's job back home. So this is into my 30s. And so I knew like I didn't really enjoy it. I just had to do the job because that's what paid the bills.
I see.
But the context of me getting there is that I did come to school in Georgia. I came to grad school in Georgia a while back. And came back home as, an accountant or whatever. And that's when I started to feel really restless about what I'm doing. I didn't really enjoy it. And I started to try to figure out, like, what else is there to my life? Like, am I just going to retire an accountant? I was also single at the time, born and, just kind of raised in the church. And I was very single. I wanted to meet somebody, but it just never happened. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about that later. But I was, in my mid-30s, not in a career that I loved. And I started to just really ask myself, like, what else? What else? What else? I couldn't shake off that. And that led me to hiring my first life coach. And what I learned from that coaching process is that I was out of alignment with my core values. So I've always been the person who loves to talk to people, just kind of encourage them, help them navigate life challenges. Like, I've always done that from when I was a teenager to when I was an adult. And that's why I realized, that's why I'm really struggling in the job that I do, because I'm not really aligned with my natural giftings and just what I really find important. So that led me to, when I was working with my life coach, it made me kind of realize, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I want to be a life coach. And that's when the journey of my true, living in my true, authentic self started. It was great. I went to coaching school. I went through my own life transformation where I really embraced who I am. I created a vision for my life. This was 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the life that I live today is actually the full realization of that vision that I wrote, including finding love.
Nice.
So, I met my sister lives here in Georgia. I'm in Atlanta. And I used to come visit her over the summers. That's how I met my husband. Long story short, we got married. I moved here. And then I was struggling with my hair because in Kenya, you know how it is. You can change your hairstyle every week if you want. And I couldn't do that here. And my sister had sister locks. And she was like, I know this lady. She's amazing. Her name is Rosalie. She's going to help you. And then that's how I found myself in your chair.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I love the story of how you found that alignment. So that's what one of the words that I'm using is congruence, right? So you found your level of congruence between what you were doing in life and how it made you feel, and you felt like you were in your purpose. You're doing what you're supposed to do. What I also remember about when you came for I'm not sure if it was your consult or the actual establishment.
Yeah.
That was the first time I experienced someone who was in that level of alignment, because I remember you had an issue with your back.
Yes.
And it was right after COVID.
Yeah.
And I know that right after COVID, I was hustling. I was like, I'm trying to, right? And so I was doing an establishment because, I'm in hustle mode, but I only had so much time.
Yeah.
And in the past, it had worked to convince the client, look, let's just get it done so we don't have to come back.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm sorry, truly, I am not going to be able to last much longer. I have to go home.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, because I was in so much
You were in pain, right?
Yeah.
And so that also leads me to compassion, because I didn't realize how inconsiderate that request, like I've used that request in the past, and I didn't realize how inconsiderate that request is to the client, especially if you're telling me you can't make it and I'm asking you to push through, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm asking you to push through at a place where you cannot. And I was like, wow, I really... So that was the beginning of you shifting the way, my perspective about how I dealt with the rest of my clients. You don't even know. You taught me a lot.
I didn't know.
You taught me about the color people, yellow, green, red, whatever.
Yeah.
So I just, every time you sit in the chair, it resonates so, like I can't wait for you to come for your appointment, because I know I'm about to learn something. And I've learned a lot. So that's amazing. I remember that as well.
All right.
So also along those lines, so you've taught me about capacity, right? Because in that instance, you were letting me know that this is the capacity that you have based on the limitations you have going on.
Right.
What are some of the areas in your life that you're managing that capacity, or you're expanding your capacity to do certain things?
It's interesting that you brought that story, because at the time, in 2020, for context, I've struggled, telling them I struggled with backache for like 7 years, chronic back pain. And I had just launched my business online in 2020. And, everything shut down. And I was struggling with back pain at the time. And I had to do like a lot of one-on-one consults. And I don't know if you remember, I had to do a lot of one-on-one consults. And one of the challenges was, like, I couldn't sit for long, because I like to do them on videos so that I can see. And I couldn't sit for long because my back would really, really hurt. And just to answer your question, that was a big thing in terms of managing how much I could do. Of course, there's, pressure to build the business. There's pressure to get clients and, of course, to earn a living.
Right.
But, my business coach at the time had encouraged me to start from one-on-one coaching, and I couldn't do the hours, I remember thinking, I'm struggling so much just sitting down. Like, I wish I didn't have this backache. But yet I wanted to build this business. So at the time, my capacity was very limited. And I had to adjust and allow myself to sort of grow at a slower rate, if I could put it that way. That take less calls, serve less people, lighten up my schedule. And to the outside, of course, it looked like I'm like, are you serious? Are you really seriously building a business at that pace? And I remember struggling, but I just allowed myself to build really, really slowly, because I couldn't go any faster. And I remember talking about it sometimes in our, on the chair.
Yeah.
But with time, I was able to actually give myself the permission to grow at a slow rate. And I remember you asked me, like, what if that's the pace that you should be building your business anyway? So I don't know if that answers your question, or it gives,
and expanding the capacity. Like, do you still struggle with back pain, or like what shift has happened for you to be able to handle more? Or
so what eventually happened, so we're 2025, this is a 5-year span. So what eventually happened is that I allowed myself to grow at a slow pace. But over time, I realized, I read, did a lot of research, and I realized my back pain was psychosomatic, means that it was mostly affected by what I thought about what I thought about my back pain. And when I started to process, that, it's like when I was stressed out, my back would hurt more. When I was less stressed, it wouldn't hurt more. So when I began to process that, the back pain actually vanished.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while since
I've talked about it. Yeah.
It kind of, like, last year, it kind of just vanished. But I did do I did do an inner child healing class that really taught us how to process emotions and feelings, and I believe that really helped my back pain, and then it just stopped being an issue.
That's right.
Funny enough, I didn't really change my working schedule because it worked, and I still could produce at the rate I wanted to produce.
Yeah.
And it just ceased to become an issue. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just staying along those lines of now being compassionate.
Yeah.
If you were talking to somebody, because we're in different industries,
Yes.
but we're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who's just getting started and they have some limitations that are going on, and there's an expectation of what the industry typically does?
Right. Wow, that's a really good question. I'm a big believer that our thoughts influence how we feel, and influence our emotions, and that will influence how we act or how we behave. So I would say that just because you have a physical limitation does not mean that you cannot produce. Does not mean you cannot be effective, or you cannot have impact. It has to do mostly with how you're thinking about it, and how your thoughts about the situation. Kind of the situation is neutral. It's just what we think about it that gives it the power to work for us or against us. So if you if they could find, my advice is, if you could find a thought or some thoughts about what you can do now in the capacity you have now, that's going to be enough for now, right?
Yeah.
And as you take action, your capacity will increase because you're going to see that, you're going to see progress, and you just need to keep leaning on what you believe about what you're doing, and the capacity. You have to believe that the capacity you have now is enough. Is actually enough, because it is.
It is, right? Because that's what you can do. That's awesome.
Yeah. And also something else I learned, I've known this for a while. Like, I studied economics in college, and this 80-20,
right.
80-20, like, 80% of our results come from 20% of the actions that we did. So sometimes it's about finding the most effective, the actions that move the needle. And you might find it doesn't take as much time as you think, because sometimes we're so busy trying to do everything and anything.
Right.
So finding those essential needle moving actions, and focusing on that in the capacity that you have, will still have a profound impact.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like you were talking to me right there, because busy and effective are two different things.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes we get stressed out that we're not busy enough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not busy enough. I'm not producing enough. Right? And then now, if you have the limitations, you start spinning.
That's right.
Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this wasn't meant to be. Maybe this is not my, the thing that I should do it. Yet, in your heart, like, that's a thing that ignites you and lights you up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk more about your life and dating coach arena, because that's where I've experienced the benefit of a relationship with you.
Okay.
So talk to us about your framework or your philosophy and how you help people do that.
Okay. So my framework and my philosophy comes from something I've lived through myself. I'm not coaching out of a place of not knowing or not understanding, because, for me, I was just going through the motions of life, doing my best, going to school, get a job, working hard. So I really believed that when it was the right time, God would just bring somebody. That's what I believed. And a lot of my friends and peers, got married and started families, and I was their maid of honors, and and I was just that girl who was always there for for people. And I just thought, good auntie, good daughter. And I just thought, yeah, when time is right, God is gonna bring me somebody. Until I hit my mid-30s, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't think I'm ugly. I think I'm awesome. I have a lot of love to give. So there's something missing. There's something missing, and the missing part was that the understanding, and my coach helped me through this. Is a big change. It was a big pivotal moment in my life. My coach helped me understand that God is in partnership with me to bring my dreams to life. It wasn't just me to wait for him to do anything. So that was really huge, and it made me realize, okay, girl, I have to step out, and I have to step out and do something. But before I did, I created a vision for my life. What did I want my relationship life to look like? What did I want my life to look like as a single woman? What mattered to me? How did I want the person that I desired to be to fit into my life? What kind of life did I want to live with him? And what kind of family did I want to create? What kind of business did I want to have? And I stretched myself and literally wrote down a life vision of what that looked like. And and then that's how my partner came into my life. I did date a lot. I did go out and meet many guys, and he was the one who was most aligned. So in my coaching program, the first thing we do is we have to write down a vision. We have to write down a clear vision of what you want your life to look like and what you want your relationship life to look like. That's the first. We have to know who you are, and a part of that is articulating your core values. What is important to you and why? There's a reason why you live the life the way you do, why you make decisions the way you do. When you look at the wheel of life, there's a reason why you love to go to the gym at 5 a.m. and the rest of us don't.
Right.
There's a reason why you're passionate about, I don't know, this and not the other. There's a reason why you do the things you do. That's your core value system. And that's the first sort of as a foundational process that I take my clients through. Your personality, who are you, and what are your quirks, and what are the things that make you you. And then from that we look a little bit into your past relationship patterns, from when you're a child to right now, all the significant relationships that you've had, both romantic and not romantic. What were the positive things in that relationship pattern, in your relations, and the negative things, and how, and you're the common thread in all that. So looking at how you were showing up in those relationships and picking up those patterns. What else do we do? There's a lot of preparation. I call this dating readiness.
Okay.
And relationship requirements. That's another important. What are your non-negotiables for a relationship? People don't think about this because they use chemistry to decide who to be with. I feel this way, so we flow, we vibe, or the sex is good. So they use that as a criteria to choose. But you should be actually using your relationship requirements. What are the basic, essential things that needs to be there for your relationship to work? A lot of people get into relationships only to realize that some fundamentals were not even there in the first place because they didn't think through them.
Yeah.
So together with that, and just a vision for your life, that's the first step. That's the first phase before we go on the apps, before we go on into the streets, before we do any of that.
Yeah.
And then the second phase is what I call the attraction phase. And that's where now you step out to sort of align yourself with how to meet this person. So that could be organically, or that could be online. So I help them, sometimes, so I'll help them, write a profile. And that profile is aligning with who they are.
Right. Okay.
You see how it's all connected?
Yeah.
It aligns with who they are. So the person who is, who's on, the guys who are looking at your profile, it's you. So it either attracts or it repels,
doesn't, right?
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And and that's fine.
And it sifts, right? It's like weeding out the riffraff, I like to call, right?
Exactly.
And that's so cool that you help them with the dating apps, because it always sounds like, when I speak to women who are single, it always sounds like it's just like a cesspool and you just like hit or miss. But you're saying that there's a way to curate your what you want in such a way that it'll call the right person.
Yes,
nice.
Absolutely. And this is actually, in my opinion, it's a missing link in the app, in the apps, because most women are like, okay, I'm single, I want to meet somebody. What do? They go straight into the apps. And then they are traumatized because of what's happening.
Right.
Because they haven't prepared, they haven't articulated what they want. They're not really ready for the process.
That's
and they're not ready to, for their profile to call in the type of person that, the kind of men who would be more aligned to them.
Exactly.
So that's some of the work, some of the work that I do with my clients. Okay. And then now I support them real time, and I send them off into the streets to go out and, to meet their partners. They enjoy the dating process.
Right.
Because it needs to be enjoyed, because if you're not enjoying it, you're not, remember, what you think about the process will influence how you feel
about it. Yeah.
And if you're having good emotions about it, you're going to attract, men who are, treating you well, showing you a good time. Like, it's going to be a positive process. At the end, I always tell my clients, you're only choosing one guy. So all these dates are not going to be wasted. You're going to be learning about yourself. You're going to be learning how to, to define your boundaries. You're going to be growing emotionally. You're going to be learning self-regulation. You're going to be learning all kinds of things. And it's supposed to be a very positive and enjoyable process.
Nice.
If you're frustrated with dating, you need to back up and work on the foundational piece of that.
Who you are.
Yes, of who you are. Yeah.
Let's talk about this feminine energy thing, though.
Right.
What is it, and how does it apply in the relationship?
So, there's a lot of teachings about what feminine energy is. But simply expressed, it's just your way of being in the context of relationships with men. So we all have both feminine and masculine energies. For us as women, and even men have the same. So for women, we have both energies. And so, like, say masculine, let's start by defining masculine, which is our doing energy. So when we have to, think, strategize, plan, get things done, that's our masculine energy. But our feminine energy is more laid back. It's more nurturing. It's more being in the moment. It's more getting out of our head and just getting into our body and getting relaxed. It's more receiving. It's receiving. It's more just being who you are, a woman. So what happens typically is, because women are used to, we have to, function in our normal daily routines. And what happens is, when we get into relationships with men, or we start interacting with men, unknowingly, we show up thinking that there's something we need to do. There's something, we kind of approach it like, it's a project where we need to execute, we need to position, and we don't need all that. When we're interacting with men. We don't need all that. We just need to be.
Right.
We just need to be. We need to be present, connect, laugh, have a good time, kind of like how we used to do when we were young children.
Right.
Just enjoy and just be like kind of playful and just going with the flow type of thing. I think when it comes to dating, but also even in our marriages, most of our partners, if you ask maybe your husband, or if I talk to my husband, he'll say, like, I just like being around you. I just like your presence.
Right.
I just enjoyed who you are.
Yeah.
It's not anything you could do or fix or and that's really what makes us attractive to them. But that's, wives and feminine energy. That's a different
That's
topic.
a different topic.
It's still the same.
Yeah.
It still comes
Because
down to
they carry
the same
over.
thing.
Yeah.
Because in that relationship between your partner, the more easygoing we are, the more the attraction, because we are mostly in our feminine energy. So that would be the context. So the work I do with my clients is that I just help them pay attention to how they may be showing up in their masculine energy, in their interactions with men.
Yeah.
But I also tell them this is something so natural. We all, as women, have it. It's just that our environment may make us be more masculine, or we've just forgotten.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the dating process, because it helps women remember, like, oh,
what
I'm a girl.
that is.
I'm soft and I'm feminine, and I just have to show up for the date, and that's pretty much it. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then while you were talking as well, I'm thinking now, bringing it full circle to me as your loctician, and as other locticians are paying attention.
Yeah.
So me as your loctician, and the experience that you have as a client, thinking about that presence and that showing up, and that that being present for that interaction. Can you describe what you feel has been beneficial in that? And then what could be improved, or how can a service provider improve using those same things that you're talking about, being present and being aware of yourself, and in your interaction with your clients?
Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay. That's actually a great question. Actually, just because we use our masculine energy to function does not mean we cannot bring our feminine energy into our workplace, right? And one of the most impactful things that, say, locticians can do with their clients is, when they're with their clients, to sort of just be there with them, in that moment. I'm not saying you need to be a therapist or anything like that, but just being there with them, just being attuned to their energy when they come in, noticing it, kind of, checking in with them, and I believe, as you're doing hair, I believe that you can tell when your client is tense or frustrated, or something is going on. Just being attuned to that. So that's not going to be possible if you're stressed out. You're thinking about the things that you need to get done, and like you're in your head in that sense. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do outside of where you are except be with your client. Like, you can't be, like, even if you had something that you needed to do, you can't transpose yourself and be there. Anyways. So you might as well be very, very present. And that's what it means to be present. It means that you are attuned to the person in front of you, and then your energy will actually be relaxed and warm and welcoming. And that's why you'll find your clients, are coming to you over and over again, and they're telling their friends, they'll say, oh, I love going to Rosalie's. There's just something about being there. I just love to be there. I don't want to change my stylist, and that's how I think that's the best way I can describe it. You can imagine, like, being done your hair by someone who's sighing, always frustrated, always, angry, because this will come out in your energy and in your body language. And I'm not saying that you need to deny what you're feeling, or you need to bypass what you're feeling, but probably just centering yourself before your client gets there, and just taking that time to just be there with them. I think that makes a big difference. And even for me, like if I go to a coaching session, I'm thinking about the laundry, I'm thinking about what didn't work out, I'm thinking about this client who hasn't paid me, I'm thinking about all these things. They're gonna pick up on my energy.
That's right.
They're gonna pick up on my energy, and they're gonna I'm not gonna help them as effectively as I would like to. Yeah.
I love that perspective, because I do I teach my students that, and also I try to be present for what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think I can honestly say, just when I'm remembering the interactions that we have, you have a way of asking some very thoughtful questions that allow me to pay attention to where I am, or if I give you like a situation. Actually, you're one of the few people that I feel comfortable to present a scenario as it is and know that I'm going to get a certain perspective, right? And another thing that I love about our interaction is how you're curating your life altogether. So we talked about like style and diet and all that. Can we talk about what it looks like? You talked about building a vision for your life, and what are the categories that you need to make sure that you address in order to make that vision complete or whole?
Yeah. All areas. So you want to look at, am I speaking to the single people, or am I speaking to everybody?
Let's speak to the single people, because that's your demographic, right?
Yeah, but really
in general,
anyone. No,
right?
In general. So you want to be, you want to have a vision for your health, because without health, we cannot we may not long term if do the things that God has called us to do if we're not in the best health. So in our health, so that may look like movement, nutrition, wellness, emotional health, going to therapy, things like that, hiring a life coach. So health, very important. Of course, your work and career, because that's what you're spending most of your time doing. And you want to long term, you want to, by the way, around 33 years old, in my opinion, is when a lot of people start to think about like existentially, like why am I here? What's my impact? So you want to start building a vision around what your legacy work would look like. What's your mark in the world in your own way? Yeah, just in your own way, kind of exploring that and writing a vision around that. You may not be there right now, but you will find yourself somehow just slowly making decisions that will align with that. Relationships, romantic relationships. How do you envision your romantic relationship? What does that look like? Where are you? How are you living? How are you raising kids? And if you are with a partner, like what is your vision? Together. That's a wonderful exercise you can do with your partner. Then there's relationships with your nuclear family and extended family. There's your social life. It's not just work. Your social life, actually, for single women, like you can curate your social life in a way that it brings those men, but you're still enjoying your life. So your dating life is not separate from your social life. Like, what does that look like? Do you have like a little, hobby list, bucket list? Do you want to travel? Do you want to be part of organizing? What do you want to do? And just create that. Just create that, your living environment. What kind of a home would you love to live? What kind of a lifestyle do you want to live? How are your spaces? How would they be optimally look like for them to support you and your family? I'm trying to think of other areas. Your money. Oh my God.
Right.
Your money, your money. What's your what's your ideal vision of what your money looks like? How is your relationship with your money? Do you want to improve that? Do you want to heal that? Do you want, what does that look like? So all these areas, you can just look up the wheel of life. It will come up, and you can think about what that vision looks like for every area of your life. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, because you covered quite a few. That's right.
Yeah. And let me tell you why this is important. This is neuroscience. Now, I can't repeat the science, but I've listened to it enough to know it's both, like, if you're a woman of faith, or if, it complements what science says. Like, we have that ability to co-create. God has given us that ability, and we co-create by writing down what it is that we want, from zero to, you can have a blank slate, and you can literally create any outcome you want in your life. I'm not saying it's going to be easy or it's not going to have challenges, but that somehow works to put you in the path of having that life.
Awesome.
So that's why I think it's super important.
I feel like I might be inviting you to do a vision exercise for us at some point, because that sounds really exciting.
I'm here for you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? How about this?
Yeah.
How about something that you can leave the audience with? I call it something they can put in their little back pocket for moving through life. What's something that, like a philosophy or something that you move through life with, that you can give to the audience?
I think what I would love the audience to know is you're not lost. You're not confused. You just haven't necessarily accepted who you are, who is a co-creator. We are not victims of the things that happen to us. The things that happen to us are real, but it's what we think about them, and it's how we think about them, and it's that will influence whether they will, overcome us or not. But at any one point in your life, you can choose to create something new out of your life. You're the only one who has the power to kind of change what you want to change in your life. You don't need anything on the outside of you. It's all within you. A lot of times when we're trying to make changes or live better, we tend to go outside. And yes, there are resources outside, but we already have enough within us to start to change that. And that is creating the outcome that you want. So if you've never done this before, sit down and write what you want your life to look like. Not just now, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, and just go all out. That's the starting point. And then come see us. We can help you execute.
For sure.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation as usual. I've even learned a few more things that I didn't even know. So I'm looking forward to watching this, and especially this vision part, right? Even in the signature lock method, that's the first thing that we do, because I believe when you know who you are, every other decision, what to say yes to and what to say no to, it's easier, right? Because you know where you're trying to stay. And so if you've never taken the time to even just imagine take the time to allow yourself to imagine, because sometimes we start thinking about things and then you're like, yeah, but if I did this, if I do this, but then, if I do this, but then, if you take off the qualifiers and just put it on paper and allow yourself to feel that this is actually possible, who knows who you're going to be in the next week, month, year, right? So I'm feeling aligned with the guests that I've been bringing, which is why I know I'm working with the right people for me, because we believe in having a vision to drive you for wherever you're trying to go. So if you have no other takeaway from today, get a blank piece of paper and allow yourself to dream about what your life could look like. The things that you are always making excuses for why they can't happen. Remove the guardrails, write it down, and allow yourself to experience what that could be if you allowed yourself to feel it and allowed yourself to feel like it was possible. So, if you feel like this episode is for somebody who is single, who needs to learn how to find the right relationship. Share with the single people you know, including the single moms, because there is somebody for everybody if that's what you want. So share this episode, like it, comment, and Charity is going to tell us how we can reach her.
I'm on socials, old school Facebook, Charity Wambui Cavanaugh. I'm also on Instagram as Charity Wambui Cavanaugh, and I have written a real ebook. I can share
for sure
the link with you if you'd love to read more about my story and how you can start taking those simple steps to finding the love that you desire. You can download that ebook. Otherwise, looking forward to connecting with you. Just slide into my DMs. Thank you.
And there you have it, guys. So until next time, stay congruent, watch your capacity, be compassionate.